So someone's asking, are they allowing you to customize the Kinetic yet? I did hear that the App Studio was actually in the beta or something coming out. They have to have a
It was
different app studio.
slated for 10 to 600. It's on hold for a couple months. It didn't make the full release. It's
Well, at least
there.
now we
You can
know.
look at it. You just can't do anything with it.
Kinetic's been talked about for so many years that I've given up on it till I actually see it working and I actually see it customizable. It's just a pipe dream.
So did you see? I mean, it's open discussion, right?
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
Did you? I don't know where I saw this, but I saw a slide from Epicor that says goal to stop supporting WinForms within 2 years or so. I think one of the partners.
I don't think
one of the partners. I think
it'll take longer than 2 years.
Well, what? But I guess yeah. What if people pilot Kinetic and maybe? Oops. Like I guess Calvin, question for you.
Well, this is Mark.
Have you ever had a hard time converting your users to the white team, let alone anything else? Like as soon as we apply the white team, everybody's freaking out. The help desk is like, these calls are flying in, and everybody wants their dark team back. It's like,
I've seen people do their themes. I've seen also if you go in and change your themes, you can accidentally hide things out.
Yeah.
Chad Blanchard was asking if they're allowing people to customize Kinetic yet. And he's right. He thought he had heard you couldn't yet. The App Studio is not being released tomorrow. The software is. But the App Studio is in the works and should be out within the next few weeks.
Okay, I thought I'd heard something where you couldn't. Maybe it's in 500 with Kinetic. I just thought I'd heard something about where you couldn't make customizations to any of the Kinetic stuff yet. But that's fixed in 600.
Not fixed. That will be the App Studio, but the App Studio will be out a few weeks later.
Okay, gotcha.
This is Mark Obrantz. To chime in on this, I mean, they started talking about Kinetic 2 years ago at Insights, and I remember it being all the hoopla. It's going to be there. It's going to be great. We're going to move to this. And I actually held off. Foolish me, I drank the Kool-Aid, and I held off doing some things, thinking, okay, Kinetic's coming. I was even on one of their focus groups on a call with Stephen Edgerton and others showing what MES was going to look like in that. And that was, again, that wasn't even last summer. I think that was the summer of 18. And I haven't even seen an MES screen yet. Maybe it's out there, but I think that, yes, they're going that way, but I think it's going way slower than they think. And if you're waiting for it, I can tell you this, I've been sorely disappointed while I've been waiting for it. So I've just started doing what we're going to do because I can't keep my business on hold waiting for that. That's my opinion.
I know the MES one, I think, came out in 400, 300, but
not 400. No, it's not 400.
It's not in 400. It's not there.
I mean, they talked about it being in every release since then. I mean, I was on that, like I said, I was in that a couple of years ago, and they talked about it for every release that we're going to have. MES Kinetic will be the first thing we do. It's simple. We're going to just do a light version. We'll keep the old version and this Kinetic, and they can't seem to pull it off. And I mean, I'd rather have them get it right than rush it out, so I'll give them credit in that regard. But like I said, I waited, and I've been burned waiting, basically. So it's great to be aware of what's coming. And again, the customizing of it has been a huge issue. And I mean, because when they first started talking about it, they said, oh, you'll be able to customize it. Then it was, oh, you can't customize it. And now they're talking about customizing it, but again, the tool's not there and not refined.
Yeah, Mark, it is out. It is out in 10.2.400. It is the Kinetic screen for MES is definitely out in 10, and also the resource scheduling board as well. So those are the two things they brought out in 10.2.400 in Kinetic, and obviously in 500 they roll out more stuff, obviously.
Yeah,
I
and
think
they'll
we were.
continue moving forward and
are
add.
they customizable?
Oh no, they're not customizable. No, no. But they're definitely out as no. They're out as as screens, but not customizable in those versions. No.
When
And
you
at
think
10,
they'll be customizable?
Oh, okay,
They're
sorry.
pseudo customizable in 10.2.600,
Yeah.
but you're very, 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 very limited on what you can customize. You can move the widgets around,
Yep. Just
but adding widgets, adding programming, adding your own events is not there yet.
Yeah. I mean, Calvin, I mean, guys, I think I was talking to someone about this the other way as well, because I'm not really a web developer or someone who really does anything on the web, but it's going to be changing the way people think, isn't it, about how to customize. People getting used to the idea of not maybe having things pinpoint exactly where you want it and having sort of cards or blocks containing the controls you want and being able to put them in particular, ordering the cards on the screen as opposed to pinpointing individual elements where you want them exactly when you're thinking in the world of win forms. So it's just a totally different way of thinking. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I see the users requesting standardized looks and feel to the
Okay,
software so that it's easier for training people. If you
right.
try to train 2 MES users on the plant floor and how
Yeah,
to customize or move things around, that's not a problem. But when
yeah,
you have to train 500 people,
yeah,
you can't train 500 people to customize and move things around as they want.
yeah.
You'll be a slave to fixing the screens and the breakages.
Mm.
Has there been
The
any
function.
discussion with partners and Epicor about when they do fully release the ability to customize Kinetic screens, not having some sort of program where partners don't have to charge the standard hourly rate in order to rebuild the screen customizations that companies like the one Latitude that I work for have already paid for?
Right now, there's no way to add, like you have customizations in your MES screen. Those would be a complete rewrite moving
Yeah.
into Kinetic. It's calling
Right,
C#
yeah.
code, it's calling its own business models. That would have to be completely overhauled to run through JavaScript and Angular.
Has there
It's a
been any
completely
discussion
different
though? I
language.
mean, I can't be the only one that, is like, yeah, I understand it has to be redone, but I already paid for it and it's working the way it is. I don't feel that I should have to, pay full price to have it completely rebuilt just because they decided to go to this new interface.
Now, you do not have to go to the new interface. You can still run the original interface. So you don't have
Right.
to go to the Kinetic MES screen.
I mean, eventually we're going to be forced there though,
I have a feeling Epicor is going to be around for a long time using the basics. There are some fundamental issues that just can't be handled in Kinetic, and we discussed those in the controlled release program.
One of the issues that I've seen is that the new screens are only being made in the Kinetic. They're not being made in the Classic. So, for example, the CDC, the change data, those screens are only Kinetic.
And I think it's fine for new screens though, isn't it? Because you then don't have the legacy customization issue, and that makes sense from Epicor's point of view.
Is Epicor going to release any tools to migrate any of the customs from the legacy to Kinetic? Has anybody heard?
It would be difficult.
Yeah.
Maybe very hard.
Two different ways of thinking. It's just two different ways of thinking. It really is. It's
I have not heard. This is Mark from Swistek. I have not heard any tools
yeah.
for migration. I
Yeah.
mean, and this is similar to what happened when we went from 9 to 10. for anybody who used Product Configurator. Everything was in the progress language.
Yeah.
And we had to rewrite everything into C#. And this is, they did in that case come up with a conversion tool that made that process helpful. But that's
yeah. And that as a concept was easier to manage. You're talking server-side code for the BPMs and stuff like that from 4GL to C#, and you're talking now UI conversion of UI elements from C# WinForms to TypeScript, web-based. It's just, yeah, it's not straightforward.
So we'll see where it heads.
Yeah.
So I do recall end of life for classic screens, ERP 11, spring 2021. I think that's just
When
a
is that?
safe harbor. Spring 2021, but that might have been just like, let's try to hit this goal. It might not be. This might be just a.
No, there would be a revolt, Hasso. I don't think that's possible. I just.
Yes.
Yeah, or I believe
I mean,
that
they're still supporting Crystal, for goodness. I mean, they're not supporting it, but Crystal still works. I mean, it's not supported, I know. So, I mean, yeah, no, I just don't think that's gonna happen.
I think what they mean by that, I think what they mean by that is they're just not gonna update the screens with new checkboxes and buttons.
And, I think they might retire the classic menu.
Yeah.
In 2021, so that people are using the new Metro or the active homepage. The active homepage is based 100% on the Kinetic environment. Yeah. The Metro is still based on the classic menu. I would expect, if anything, that might get retired.
Is that 600 on your screen now?
Yes.
It didn't change a whole lot from the active homepage, and we're on 400. That doesn't look too much different as far as the active homepage from 400.
The Kinetic from 400 is the same Kinetic in 600. They just added a few more bells and whistles to it.
I see that stuff down there, and it looks like the top maybe is a little bit different.
Yep, and they cleaned it up. I can't drop down and change my company anymore. I can scroll in. I can scroll out and it will auto size. So if I'm using a laptop, if I'm using a tablet or a phone, I can turn around and zoom in. It's designed for the mobile all the way up to a PC. So it should adapt to whatever you're using. 600 is the new software that's coming out. Epicor continually improves their software and moves it along and keeps it current with technology and where it's moving. So I don't see any difference. I mean, it's the same. It's just going from 500 to 600. The top areas, I mean, there's going to be a look and feel that hit when they came out with the Metro menu and how many people stayed with Classic. Now they have active homepage and I still have people sticking with Classic. My users are accustomed to this. They're not ready to go over to active homepage. They're not seeing the benefits of it. We're not utilizing any of the tool sets in it. It's just a case of taking time, and it will turn around and evolve and move forward. The Kinetic is out there, and the App Studio is even in here.
But it doesn't do anything yet, right?
It allows you to go into the design mode. You just can't make any changes or go into customizations behind the objects and hit save.
Okay.
So you can see how the studio works. You just can't turn around and do too much in it. That, again, will come out a couple months later. So they were saying anywhere from a month to 2 months after release. I'll go ahead and kind of get started here for everybody. We'll go over what's new in 10.2.600. We've all been talking. The Kinetic App Studio is kind of the number one that people were like, this is great. I have the ability to do these things. It doesn't exist yet. So it's not going to really be there for anybody to use. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my Excel document. So inside the Kinetic Studio, Customizing and personalizing. This is going to be in the Angular and JavaScript environment where you can build and reuse your functions and pull in reusable code from other areas. Being able to build country and industry or customer specific things that follows along with it. But not only does Kinetic go out through the smart client, it also goes throughout the web. So if I'm going to use Epicor on the web, either internally or in the cloud or on my own private cloud, it works the same as if I had the smart client installed. It does speed up the data retrieval. It does all go through the RESTful Kinetic or the RESTful API calls, which are faster than the business objects generally. Reports, trackers, dashboards, BAQs can all be rolled out through the Kinetic. So I can also use some classic screens and I can use some Kinetic screens. I don't have to say, hey, everybody, we're all going Kinetic on day one. So you can control this as they're coming out with this App Studio. It's just a case we need to learn another language. Everybody went from Progress to Visual Basic, from Visual Basic up to C#. Now we have people writing more SQL code rather than just doing the BAQ through the designer. It's going to be an evolution where we're going to end up learning how do I utilize JavaScript and Angular into the App Studio so that I can drag and drop these low code components and build my interfaces quicker for people. The Kinetic forms and elements. The release is targeted for read-only users, but Kinetic reports and processes are out there. Kinetic trackers are out there. The maintenance forms are available in the Kinetic layer. It's not everywhere. It's only some of the items. They did alter the menu structure so that you can choose, am I deploying the Kinetic menu or am I deploying the regular, or am I putting both out there and letting the user choose? So it's not something where, like I said, you have to adopt this. It's an option that you can turn around and do. So in my user maintenance, let's take a look for the menu and type it correctly. When I'm in menu maintenance, I can turn around and choose if I'm going to go Kinetic or if I'm going to turn around and stay on the regular. So what customization am I doing? And then what form do I want to use, or is it user's choice? So on the drop down here, let's pull up a Kinetic. The home. We bounced all the way out of the system. I can go to the trackers Kinetic here. When I turn around and pull that, I have the user choice if there is multiple. Part Advisor, I think, is a dual system. Nope, only one is out there. The options here is the Kinetic, the Classic, or user choice. So the user can choose what they want to do for the options where both menus are out there. Deploying dashboards and BAQ reports, you can do that with the Kinetic UI right now. You can personalize the Kinetic forms. We just can't customize them yet. And you can tailor your searches much tighter in Kinetic, and I found that a little easier to do rather than doing search forms or BAQ searches in there. Epicor has improved the help and support panel here in 10.2.600. So the help and support screen, I can do a search in here. I have help articles. I have the online help. You can choose to install help locally on your server, or you can point it to the Epicor server. Epicor is continually updating their help manuals. If you point it to the web-based help, you're constantly getting the updates out there because as they update their help system, it's available. If you install it locally, there are people that still want to do that because if they lose internet, then people can't get to the help system, or if they have to work in a disconnected mode, they can't get to the internet. Knowledge on demand videos are now going to be pulled directly in here. So the guided learning system, if anybody's familiar with this is out there, the manuals are available. The guided learning, I can now set up a profile that follows a work person standard. So if I have a customer service person, I can build a standard set of videos from Epicor Education that takes them through how to maintain a customer, how to enter a sales order, how to process an RMA. These videos are available online and they're embedded directly into the help system now. They're no longer something you have to pay for. Those are available, and all of this extensive help menu has been completely enhanced here. So the help and support panel is no longer just the 4 or 5 options that used to be in the top right corner by going to the help menu. The guided learning is really nice because onboarding new employees can now be streamlined and standardized, and you can augment some of your own information into those steps as well. So not only can I use an Epicor guided, I can add some of my own steps into that as well and make sure that people follow the same process when they onboard. What they're really targeting is trying to get the tribal knowledge from people into a standardized process so that it's easier to bring people on board. If you're in an environment, hey, Greg, out there in Iowa, your employees are there for life. You guys have a retention like 35 years. That's normal. For people that are in big cities, you're not going to see employees hanging around that long. So there's a big difference, and making sure that that guided learning can be done so that you can onboard people really comes into play. Epicor has also brought Collaborate into its phase 2. This used to be called Social. I don't know of a lot of people that embrace Social, but Collaborate I really like. Collaborate goes a whole lot further. Collaborate integrates with Microsoft Teams. It integrates with Eva. I can build custom notifications. I can put business process managers and function widgets in with Collaborate. I can set up multiple channels. I can have private or public channels and groups inside with my ability to communicate. I can post the message here in Epicor and it'll show up in my Microsoft Teams application. Or somebody could turn around and update an order that I'm monitoring, and I'll get an update from Epicor sent to my Teams, and I can see it right on the window from Teams. Teams can run on my cell phone. I don't have to be in Epicor at the office to get a notification, so I can get that on my cell phone even though I'm not running Epicor. Profiles, being able to edit them and being able to flag the messages is available in Collaborate. Collaborate will also work with Epicor Data Discovery, so I can send data discovery items directly through Collaborate. Eva integrates with Collaborate, and so does Epicor's IoT that's coming out with the software in 10.2 here. I can integrate when a machine event occurs, I can send that as a notification over through Collaborate as well. So Collaborate is getting an overhaul and kind of coming up to its step 2 there. Another new function that's coming out is a new module called Advanced Project Management. Project management is now going to allow for multi-level phases for costing and complex billing methods. So I can have a project in a project. Now, yes, a lot of people have been asking this. For large equipment manufacturers, being able to put that in. For somebody working on construction sites or building projects that go into construction sites, those projects are huge and can have multiple sub-level projects that all need to be tied and revenue recognition rolled within that. So keeping the projects profitable on track, observing that financials as it rolls across all of the projects inside of it. The new module is going to be broken into 3 sub-modules. There will be a project accounting, a project contracts, and a project subcontracts. So there will be 3 new sub-modules inside this advanced project management. So you can kind of get the exact area that you're looking for. You don't have to buy the whole system just to be able to track multiple subcontractor, multiple projects in there. But this will help people. I'm not sure how many people are using projects out there, but this will definitely be an impact for a whole bunch of people. Their new module, after that one, we have an entire enhancement. Let me head back a screen. We have a whole new quick ship coming out in 10.2.600. The 5.3.0 is coming out. Christine, is your company on the testing for that? I know you guys were on the testing of the last one.
We are not at this point, no.
Okay. There's a new one coming out that's going to be based on the Kinetic design. So they're trying to integrate QuickShip more into the base product and making it more standardized.
Can I ask you a question?
Fire away.
Do you know, is the QuickShip still, you said they're working on integrating, is it still going to be a standalone app, or will it be completely in 10.2.600? Do you know?
I don't know if it's going to be a full integration, if you're going to access it from inside Epicor, or if it's still an outside, but they do have the redesign. I didn't see QuickShip on the Epicor menus inside the software in 600.
Okay, gotcha. Just curious. Thanks.
Okay. Epicor Data Analytics, the Focus software, if anybody is using that one, there is an entire new EDA Financials being available for users. This is going to have 4 standardized financial statements pre-built into it. So you don't have to go crazy and try and build one. There's going to be a profit, loss, and balance sheet. There will be cash flow, and then the standard trial balance. There will be a custom financial statement builder, but you're going to get the 4 basic ones right out of the box with the new integration for EDA. Epicor is coming out with a whole new Cash Collect 4.2 in this version. Cash Collect is going to have a customer portal where clients can come in self-service, pay their invoices online, manage their invoices online. This is similar to what ECC was. There will be a communications assistant in there for scheduling, placing, recording calls. SMS messaging is going to be built into the portal. Document creation, where you can batch print or store invoices in PDF for doing collections online. And there's an advanced workflow where you can also build custom workflows into the cash collection process. So this is an entire new feature coming out here in 10.2.600. There are 4 new financial features coming out, as well as Cash Collect. There's going to be centralized AR collection. So I can have one central AR invoice that goes across all of sites or all the companies. There's going to be AR AP netting settlement. So if I have a vendor that's also a customer, I can turn around and offset their AP invoice with their AR invoice. There's going to be AP invoice cancellation with a single click. So this will speed up, and I can automating it with the purchase order and receipt cancellations. I can do the reopening of a PO or a receipt right inside this AP invoice cancellation to fix things, rather than having to go do the whole workaround that's out there right now. And then there's also withholding tax timing options where I can turn around and put these into interim accounts and then have them book or book proportionally over certain times. So I don't have to book it all at once. So the 4 new financials is definitely, this was a fun during the testing, trying to go into each one of these and get this all tested for them. But that was definitely an interesting feature. And I know even trying to do APAR netting where you have a vendor and a customer is the same right now. Doing that in Epicor is 100% manual workaround. So this is nice. It'll become a standard feature here. Also, Epicor electronic reports. There's going to be, I think it was formerly called Epicor Electronic Compliance Engine. It had a great acronym for it. But it's been renamed to Epicor Electronic Reports, repositioned with a wider use of an extension of BAQ functions, and it also includes token capabilities here. So if you're not supposed to get into there, I can definitely keep you blocked or locked out. I can chain multiple BAQs together. So I can have one query feed into another query that feeds into another query for my report here. I can prepare electronic reports for audit firms, for banks. I can create different reports rather than just doing kind of like the income statement financial with the financial report designer. This is going to go a step further. And you can export those financial reports like XML, text files, CSV, so that it's not just here's the Epicor report and this is all you're getting. You can also spit it out in PDF or Excel or Word. So it's based on the SSRS system. Epicor Data Discovery is coming out with an advanced. And this is supposed to be able to offer you like factory floor visibility and warehouse plans looking at this before you do it. And you can do an image overlay into EDD and then have those images have data objects behind them that stay in sync. So when you hit refresh, the image overlay feeds right back to the Epicor Data Discovery with the data behind it. And then you can also do like KPIs. Metrics can be created with the data source so that you can see actual versus goal and where things are going right there in EDD. Because we opened the meeting today, I left this one in here, but there are CSF packages that are going, I want to say it was like another 12 countries going out there, information with the EU to support the EORI, Economic Operator Registration and Identification. So there's an enhancement also for the CSFs that are hitting over in Europe. I knew we had a few people that came in from Europe to the meeting today, so I left that in there. Time and Expense now has a mobile app. So if people are looking for, I can do time and expense on a tablet, on a phone, take it mobile. You don't have to necessarily be in Epicor or in the Smart Client anymore. There are function capabilities, and I'll bring a little bit of a light to this. Inside a BPM or inside a BAQ, I can write a function that turns around and runs my logic or my calculation for costing or profitability or employee efficiency. I don't have to rewrite that function for the next BAQ that needs it. I can just call that function and it will work with the next BAQ. So I can save these functions off to the side and then call them either from code, from the BAQ, from the BPM or method directive as I'm building it. So it's a reusable function. I'm not 100% happy with that because the reusable function can also be code controlled, meaning if I write a customization for you and you want to upgrade your software, you need to come back to me and purchase that upgrade. When you purchase a function from someone or don't build it yourself, make sure that you receive source code with that purchase so that as you upgrade your software, that function moves with you as well. Was not happy that that could be locked out. This brings consulting firms, third parties, and even Epicor back into maintaining software rather than building new software for people. But the function enhancements are definitely nice, and its ability to be able to reutilize the same code without having to type it over and over. I know Hasso's going to be happy with that, because anybody that's a programmer in Epicor, you're like, why do I have to write the same function again? Epicor also got a little kick with the file attachment storage. People have been wanting to integrate with Dropbox, Google Drives. They don't necessarily want all the documents stored internally. If you have corporate requirements for military or HIPAA regulations where you can't put it out on a public server, yeah, you have to leave your document attachments internally or locally controlled. If you don't have to, smaller companies can now turn around and utilize online file storage for documents that you would normally attach in Epicor. For companies that are multi-plant, my PCIDs can now move between the plants. Originally, it was only designed that a PCID was within one plant. Now I can move a package from one to the other, and all the products on that package move respectively with it. DocStar ECM also gets an upgrade. 20.1 comes out. It is also going to have a Kinetic theming, kind of building this one Epicor with the intelligent document and Kinetic theming. AP Automation Enhancements, so I can do auto matching with receipts. Integration with Epicor's IDP supporting multi-factor authentication if anybody requires that, and as well in finance. Do I need to make sure that the person doing the transaction is the person that's logged in? But then their big thing is, hey, it's going to have a Kinetic theme and it's going to follow the Kinetic form of how it's moving forward. It's still the DocStar application, but it's going to have more of the Epicor ERP look and feel to it moving forward. If anyone is using Ava, Epicor's voice, that's also going to get an enhancement. It'll also have the ability to do RMAs, and she'll have the ability to collaborate with teams in Epicor using the Collaborate software. Yes, you can go in and say, tell Eva to create an RMA for so many pieces of a certain part for a customer, and she'll go into Epicor and create the transaction for you. There is also an advanced MES coming out with Epicor 102600. Quality traceability working around the lot, part serialization and integration back to the PCID is included in there. They're pushing over towards the Ssrs reporting with primary standard reports throughout the MES interface. Expanded EDA, an advanced MES content pack just for MRP or for ERP and for MES. And then there's a Finnish language that was finally added for the MES screen. And they're also going to support the mobile OS. So there is an upgrade for the MIU OS to be able to run MES upon.
Calvin?
And let me take a look here. The final thing is the online help translation. Epicor is putting in there, they're finally integrating, kind of like with Google Translation, there'll be a Spanish language version of all the help. So they'll be running the content through a translator so that people will have the information in both languages on the help system.
Hey, Calvin? I did not pay attention to the beginning. Did you mention, is there a reason that they did not do OneDrive? I mean, given that they're working tightly with Microsoft while using OneDrive as a file attachment storage.
OneDrive, they're still having an issue with doing the attachments because I threw that out on the floor about 4 weeks ago. I'm like, why do we only do Dropbox and Google when exactly Collaborate is marrying with Teams? Epicor is getting tighter with Microsoft, but OneDrive was not supported in this, and it was a different protocol for linking the files and handling the security with the authentication into OneDrive that was different than handling Dropbox and Google's security.
Calvin, is it also maybe, I mean, because obviously there is also a connection to SharePoint as well. Is that possibly why? I wondered why that's why they didn't do OneDrive. Was that because they already had something to SharePoint? You seem to be saying that they were actively looking at doing something with
Correct.
OneDrive. Okay, interesting. But the SharePoint is still in place though.
Correct.
Okay, right.
SharePoint is still there. They just
Okay.
added the additional for Dropbox and
Yeah.
Google Drives. And Mike McWilliams has a question there, which, hey, Mike, we'll hit it to the next one. Little Orphan Annie is singing in the background. It comes out tomorrow. So yes, I got authorization from Epicor to talk about the software version one day before it comes out. So totally green here. Out on the portal right now, you can go out to Epic Web, download all the Epicor manuals, all the training, all the information has already been loaded up. Last night, I got about 200 automated emails from Epicor that they threw all of 10.2.600 documentation out on the portal. So I got a billion different little emails. Hey, this was added. This was added. It's available for download.
You know when is DocStar coming out tomorrow as well, the new version?
I believe all of this is going to be available tomorrow. But Rob, are you on the call? Rob is presenting from DocStar a little bit later today. Rob Reed. No, I don't see him in the attendee list yet. He'll be presenting this afternoon. We can definitely throw that question out to him.
Hey, Calvin, right now on my Epic Web, I still only have 500 information for documentation and latest releases.
Fred, is that you trying to talk? You're coming in super garbled. Exactly. I thought it was Charlie Brown's teacher also. Fred, are you there? Yeah, no. Let me take a look here, Christine. And now I got all the links.
Well, that's a little
load here.
Yeah, it's a little unfair, but oh well, it'll be there tomorrow. I did see in the download there was a couple files.
Christine, I'm not going to argue. For once, I got notified before it came out. No, up on Epic Web, where the products are, there should be a version 10.2.600 folder out there. Is everybody not seeing this?
I can see a 10.2.600 folder. There's not a lot there. There's some stuff in there. I don't see all the normal documentation though.
Yeah, it's not available for all of us yet.
Seems like it's rolling out maybe.
We had that happen with 500 too. They started making the folder and then they took some of the access away until the day of actual release.
Okay, Fred says here, the Epicor U manuals have been released, but the documentation for the release comes out tomorrow when they do the GA.
Yeah.
So Epicor, you pushed out all their things. Just a few things showed up here on Epic Web. This will be a fun download for everybody. It's another, was it 4 gig of data to download? Have fun. We're going to burn up the wire. Any other questions on 10.2.600?
Connect up the monkeys to plug in the internet pipe so people can download everything tomorrow.
Exactly.
Calvin, though, I put a comment in there, but I know if Fred may not, we can't hear him. One of the things I heard was that if you have a customization on a form, that 600 will not open your Kinetic form. By default, everything you have that's customizations on a menu item will continue to open first. It's good to know.
Good to know.
Hey, Calvin.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Did you get any more information or hear anything more about the that feature checkbox that they added inside of BAQ maintenance, where you can specify whether to use your live database or not, meaning that there was some sort of like static database where you could, I don't know if you had to set it up directly through SQL with replication. Did you find any more information out about that?
You should be able to run BAQs internal and external, as long as you set up the connection and the metadata over to it. So whether you're querying Epicor, a read-only Epicor, a archive, because I have seen people still using replication, even though you really don't need it. I've seen them running a replication database and then querying the information there and treating it more like a cube, or even just querying like a UPS database while I'm doing my shipping information, for example.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't see it on your screen there, but at the Wisconsin user group meeting back in early March, I'm pretty sure it might have been an Epicor employee that was presenting actually, or slides from them, but there was a checkbox inside of BAQ maintenance there where you can create normal BAQs. That there was a checkbox that said use live database, and there wasn't really any context to that though.
Hey Matt, can you hear me?
Yeah,
hey,
I can
you're
hear you.
back, Fred.
Okay, so that checkbox, the purpose of that is you can set up a replicated database, and that replicated database can be used for reporting so that you're not locking your transactional. That use live is supposed to connect BAQs that need to get data that's immediate. Like right now, I need to know what jobs are running right now. So you're going to use a live database. Your other BAQs, if they're not time sensitive, because your replicated database is always going to be slightly out of sync with your production. It may be a minute behind, it may be 10 minutes, 15, whatever. So those other BAQs then use that replicated database. So that's the purpose, is to try and offload that processing power when you're in a replicated database configuration.
Do you know if the setup of that was something that they put in the Epicor menu itself, or is that something that you're going to have to do outside of Epicor, and then tell it what your replicated database name is and everything?
I think, and I haven't looked at all the documentation, so don't quote me, but I think what you would do is set up your replication, and then in your Epicor admin console, add that other database, your replicated database. One would be marked live, one would not be, and then you'd be able to associate it. But I have not done that, so I don't know the exact steps.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess it could be that external data source maintenance there too that Kelvin is showing. It's interesting though that on your BAQ screen there, Kelvin, I no longer see that use live database checkbox. I don't know.
That might be because it's a early release for him for the 600.
Yeah.
We also have a question from I'm going to murder the name, I'm so sorry. Baez? Is it okay to upgrade from 10.0 to 10.2.600?
Yes, it is. Are you on the latest 10.0.700.4? I would probably recommend making sure that you had the one-offs and the fixes that were available in 10.0.700 to the latest, but I believe it should be incremental all the way up from 10.0.700.1 all the way to 10.2.600. I want to say, what was it, 3 that was coming out first? You should be able to go straight directly to there. It should apply all the patches and conversions to the database for you. We have a client that's going right now from 10.0.700.2 all the way to 10.2.500, and we're not having any problem. There were a few hiccups with the financials because the company conversion for the book couldn't be set up in 10.0. So you have to go in during the migration and adjust the mapping of the chart account to the chart division department or whatever segment you have. That's not automatic from 10.0, but it was from 10.1.400 anywhere forward.
Ed is asking,
10.2.400 to 10.2.500. Simple. I don't think you're going to see any issues with your software applying that upgrade. That was mostly ERP fixes rather than data or schema changes. I want to say most of our clients that have gone anywhere inside the 10.2 framework, you're going to find that your reports don't even need as many overhauls. So the reports worked right out of the box, even customized ones.
Have you had any reports? This is Chad. Have you had any reports about issues with the product configurator going between 400 and 500? I know every product configurator is highly customized, but in general, have you heard of major issues there?
Nope. People that have had the product configurator haven't really had any issues in the 10.2 world moving around. Going from the 10.1 500 up to 10.2, there were changes in the configurator that were between the versions, but in the 10.2, not a lot of changes in the configurator, so you guys should be totally fine.
that said, as always, apply your upgrade to a test environment first and test, just in case.
Oh, come on, what was that? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. I'm going to take a look if it was a difference between the user accounts in the CR release. Any other questions?
So
There's a question from Scott Williamson. Is DMT changing or disappearing in 10.2.600?
It's not disappearing. It's now part of the smart client. So you don't have to install the DLLs and the DMT. If you own the DMT, the software will already be on the client. The license file is what needs to be put into the client folder. So even though I have the 10.2.600 CR, I'll find the DMT executable and the DLLs in the client folder automatically. That's part of the deployment now. It's the license that you need to put in there as well. If you don't have the license, you're not going to do that. And I believe the DMT is now part of your license with your 10.2 software. So it'll be when you install it into your admin console. If you own the DMT, you can turn that on and then control who has access to this.
And in 10.2 600, and I think 500 as well, in your Epicor admin console, they've added in the ability to just download the license. So you don't have to go in and install it. You can just look for an updated license, and it's supposed to update for you automatically.
So no more requesting it is needed, theoretically?
I think you still have to request, but I think once they say it's there, they don't give you the license file. You just go into your admin and say, check for an update, and it'll grab it and install it for you.
Oh, very cool.
Do we know if they're going to be checking how many environments you put your license on? You know, we have, 4, 5, 6 different environments between Orla test and dev environments.
That should not make a difference because you're using the same license file into each one. Or
Okay.
do you have a separate license file for AI Bleeder? You
No,
should
they
be
should all
using
be
the same.
the same license, because now you can control it, in the
Yeah.
company config with whether or not, and in admin console if it's live or not.
Yeah, we were having an issue with a client that has over 120 companies in their database, and getting the DMT with the company IDs to sync up was a little bit difficult. I turned around and pulled up the dashboard. Go ahead.
So I'm kind of reading the from what I understood, that live checkbox was there in 500, and I see that it looks like they moved it now under actions and execution settings. So that little dialog that comes where you can set the test roll limit off and so on. There's now execution setting that you have to set if you want that. So it's no longer a checkbox. It's just tucked away under actions and execution settings. And then, of course, you have to have SQL, always on replication, and it automatically will detect that your SQL has to hit the new button on the top, and then just see if it's in the drop down there. Should say, I think,
I think the checkbox on the bottom right for use primary database.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, good eye, Fred.
I'm used to hunting for things on these screens anymore.
Okay, so see, this is where they moved it, just a heads up. And if you have always on availability with your SQL, it will automatically be enabled to use it, because Epicor said that they check your SQL settings. So there, you don't have to configure anything. If you have SQL Enterprise with always on and replication groups, then you can use it. So.
One other thing that you can see if you cancel out of the query execution settings there is, I'm not sure if this is available to us yet or not, but they've got this comment text in there, that disclaimer that we saw at the Wisconsin News Group meeting as well, that at that point it was Epicor created BAQs only, but the hope was that we could put that comment text in there as well.
No, the comment text was added there when we talked about this during the CR, because people were copying this and pasting it into SQL and then complaining it didn't work in SQL Studio. It's close to SQL. It's not a guaranteed SQL query. It is still built with the interface. It may produce different results if you run this exact query in SQL, because it's not running the logic that's being impacted also with the BAQ, like limiting the number of rows and, okay, what security do you have access to? Can you get to it? There's more things being applied in the BAQ than if you ran this query in SQL Studio.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if they meant for that comment there to be able, to be edited or added by, me creating a BAQ, so that, I don't have to explain it to someone else. They can just see what my comment was. But
Yep. Calvin is right. There's one, if you actually join our sales territory table, And if your sales guy runs this, he will not see those results if he's not part of the sales territory and so on.
Hey, Calvin, can you go to the query builder?
Yep,
And
I
then
can.
right click on the canvas area. No, I was wondering if there might be like an annotation that you can put in there like you can with BPMs.
I mean, you can click on the box, I think. Click like on one of the green ones, and then there should be a, well, they used to double click, I think, instead of.
There you go.
I guess only that, but for the time being.
Yeah, it's not great, but it's something that might help you, Matt.
Yep. But on BPMs, they added, I think, comment field, if I understood them correctly now.
I wonder if you exported said BAQ and looked at that individual file and edited it, if you couldn't force in a comment and import it back in.
Unfortunately, when you import and export the BAQ, it is a encrypted file. It's not XML that you can just look and read.
Gotcha.
If you've opened a BAQ, it is a .BAQ file, and it's not readable in Notepad or anything.
So Calvin, it is a zip file. If you use 7-zip, it will actually extract it, and then you can modify it and zip it up again. I mean, it's obviously not recommended, but even if you modify the comment, Epicor will just override it again because they regenerate it.
Okay.
But yeah, you can extract it with 7-zip.
But then if you imported it after you edited the file, would it overwrite the comment?
I think, yeah, Epicor probably generates that on the fly.
Okay.
So
one other thing that they posted with 10.2.600 on the Epicor user group is that you can actually use SQL views, and you can now import those in as BAQ tables. Right now, I think you have to do an insert. So you actually have to write into the Z data table, but you'll be able to bring views, SQL views, into BAQs and use those natively.
You can also do that right now with an external data source. So that should be in there. It's just they're making it, I believe, so that you can pull them directly in right here.
That's right.
So we'll see a lot of fun new things coming out in 10.2.600. Don't expect the end of the world. It's a movement like the App Studio. Everyone, I was chomping at the bit the second. I mean, they literally released the software and I had it installed within 2 hours. I was like, put it in, get it going. I want to see how this works. Yeah, it's not there. Can you get into it? Can you take a look at things? Yes. Can you query the objects in the database and manually update the code there? Yes, you can. Doesn't mean you should. We'll wait for the studio to come out. But you can see how Epicor wrote some of their Kinetic windows and start taking a look at how they did things.
Calvin, were you part of the pilot program of the App Studio, by any chance?
No, I haven't heard that there's a specific program just for that piece of it.
I'm curious when I read one of their bullet points, the goal for App Studio is to be no code required, right? It's a no code App Studio. I just don't know how useful that is for the power users like myself and you and many others. Do they really mean no code, like drag drop and use connectors, or will there be like, well, I guess time will tell. So
that's also one of the bad things I wasn't so happy with. It's geared towards being a no code, but you do have the ability to edit and put your own equations or calculations in there. So you can have a very low code if you still consider that code, like typing an Excel function. So yeah, that's very low code. You're not writing 100 lines of code in there. What I didn't like was when you look at a Kinetic dashboard. Let's go ahead and pull up one. Production, scheduling, my resource scheduling board. And Epicor still has it where the classic is right next to it. They've also built a Kinetic menu so you can see all the Kinetic items in one area. But when I come in here, if I go to personalize my dashboard or go to alter it, I can see some of the items here. If I have 3 ellipses in the corner, that means I can edit it. I can move some of the objects and widgets around. If I want the department to be half the size it is, I can't do that. I can't change that in the customization. So if I need more landscape or if I need to consolidate items to get more landscape, that wasn't in there. So
that's probably
I didn't like the, I thought of it more of as a clunky design.
Yeah, it's like a grid design, right? You just drag and drop in and you kind of got a grid view of 12 cells and you just put stuff in.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's where
Yeah,
I argued with this. The other thing,
that's what I was talking about. Sorry.
So I'm just going to pull one of these back. Sure.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I'm about, the card-based design, and you will also have access to the underlying code, you know, that's generated by the studio, and make modifications to it as well. So for the power users, that's an angle I think even from the start that they will have access to.
Yeah, so that kind of information's out there and I can personalize and I can let people do this. This is great. But I didn't find it easy enough if I had a grid of info, if I wanted to right click and copy it to Excel, that doesn't exist anywhere. If I want to select the items in the grid, I can't even multi-select and copy the screen over to Excel. I can't run my summations, my grid filters, my groupings. These don't exist anymore in the Kinetic. They're working on adding that in, but that's gonna, I see, stop a lot of people from using it. They've gotten attached to these grids and being able to manipulate their data and push it to Excel. That's kind of missing. But it is a web-based
Kinetic's
product.
not going to have the list views?
No,
I
it
think they
doesn't.
will. Some of it will come in later versions, right?
That's what they're aiming towards. So when I look in here and I see a grid, I can't multi-select, I can't grab the grid, I can't like highlight and say I'm going to swipe from one area to the other. There's no selecting. It's kind of a data grid that's spit out. I can't turn around and push it out of the system or click on a column and say sort by description. Now, if I can personalize, I may be able to add that as a feature onto the column by personalizing, but it's not available throughout the whole thing.
Wow, that trashes a lot of the great functionality that was in those dashboards.
Exactly. So I see people not 100% embracing this, but it's going to take time for them to add that in and have somebody figure out how to do this and build that into the framework, because that is a great feature right now inside Epicor.
And as always, the teams are looking for feedback. So if you play with 10.2.600 and you find something that you're wanting to be in there, contact your CAM and let them know. It's the feedback from the users that's directing the development of the tool. If they don't get feedback, they're going to make their best guess. But if they get feedback, make your voice heard.
Exactly.
Can you still right click on the part number and get to other functions? Open with is gone.
Missing.
I quit.
So it's features that they have to continue building to improve the product. So I can turn around and say, okay, do I want my landing page visible? Do I not want it? I can do some of these and I can save that, but that's considered now a personalization. On Fred's note, and I'll kind of wrap it up here because I'm 4 minutes over. If you have a thought or feedback, it's now built right into the software. You can share that with them. This gets sent directly to the company at Epicor there. So if you want to give feedback, you can do that directly with the software. So when you get your 10.2.600 installed and you don't like that right-click context is missing, go ahead and fill out a feedback. The more they have on a topic moves it higher up in the importance for them to develop, fix, and get it into the product. We do have a say in what we want to see in the product. We just have to share that with them. Any other questions on 10.2.600? We're all going to download it tomorrow and have it installed by the weekend. Any other questions on it? I really do like some of the features. I like the way they're enhancing some of the capabilities. I like the way they fix the APAR cross-reconciliation. That's been a nightmare if you have a vendor that's also a customer.
Sec.
Okay. Well, thanks for attending that one. I'll go ahead and find Matt here. Matt, are you on the call?
I'm here.
Awesome. Hey, Matt. Matt is here with Century Business. I'm going to go ahead and pass the controllership over to Matt.